it's going to be really hard in a regular macro game against him, but it's going to be tough. Spawning over in the bottom left-hand side to start things off here on Site Delta, it is Team Liquid's Clem.
Taking on the blue Zerg, it is going to be Bly, and there is a drone on the map.
You asked me what I'd like to see from him.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong.
But how's it going to go? Yeah.
The thing is, I think my biggest problem is that I think a lot of the proxy hatch stuff is very good against like some of the meta builds, but Clem can afford to play off meta in a sense of like he can just open like Marine Cyclone or something, you know? Like he doesn't have to open like not the Hellions are like the go-to opening every time nowadays, but you know what I mean? Like to me, this used to be more powerful for those kind of reasons, whereas now, if you're just Clem and you're like, hey, you know what? I can just play super safe. I feel like there's so many ways you can just open up and just kind of make it so that your opponent can never really hurt you with an early proxy set of damage or anything, you know?
No, yeah, there's definitely ways. It's just when you play against Bly, you're not playing your own game anymore. It's definitely a roughy toughy, and there are ways that Roach Ravager, especially spawning from proxy hatch, can catch you off guard. It's just, yeah, I mean, it's a list of bad options, isn't it, for Bly? Like, what do you do? Going for a low ground CC against Bly is already kind of like, all right, is this pushing it a little bit? And granted, I don't think it is pushing it. Clem is scouting with an SCV early on, so he doesn't have to commit the Reaper across the map as well. And Bly's kind of opening is hoping that you don't scout with an SCV. And seeing that there's no hatchery here, Clem's going to get the big red flag that something wild is going on. He's going to be looking for, where are you? Yeah, I mean, I like everything that Clem's doing so far.
Pauses the CC to start the bunker. It just means that the bunker starts ASAP. So he takes the SCV off the command center, starts the bunker, brings another SCV down to start, continue building the command center. And that just really shows that you just want to get this bunker up ASAP. And we do have a couple links here going to harass, and bunker is halted for a moment. And then bring the Reaper back, and that will jump onto those lings. The Marine will wait to go in the bunker. First 3 roaches is going to be here, but surely with the modern day Cyclone, the Cyclones are just going to completely shut down this pressure.
It should definitely do all right against it, but it is likely you can kill the first bunker. But having that second bunker, the backup bunker, that is key. And this by Clem, by the way, getting the second barracks is huge because you don't have the time to afford getting reactors. Is he going to focus down the Ravager that's building there? He does, so that's a nice pick off, and that's already a massive thorn in the side for Bly. Bly's in a lot of trouble, and Clem's just he's ticking all the boxes, isn't he?
Clem's having fun, man. He's splitting the SCV off as the barrel comes to hit it and everything. I mean, it's already looking pretty darn good here for our Terran, who is just about now going to lose a Marines. He's lost 2 Marines to 2 Lings so far. But yeah, he's got a Cyclone out, and that should go a long way to helping defend against this. He can lock on, keep that Cyclone at a safe distance while doing some very serious damage. Roach goes down the front there. SCVs will not be able to hold the bunker, but like I say, we're at this point where the Cyclone is going to begin to do a lot, and a lot of these Ravagers are hurting already, so we're not far away from those being in trouble too. We might break the natural position for a bit, but this is really only a matter of time before Clem gets a defense, unless he messes up the micro. I mean, obviously, if you donate your Cyclone here, for example, you can still, have no units left over, so you have to micro properly, but we're expecting that to be the case from Clem because he's one of the best in the world at it.
You can tell he's not necessarily super comfortable, though. Did pull a mule over here that does have its minerals available, and these kind of builds, the Ravager builds, you don't come up against them all the time, and I do think Clem has done a lot right here, but Bly's not doing bad with avoiding these lock-ons as much as possible, like running back, getting the bios down, but it's one of those things. There's not much behind this. Like, he's hoping for enough Ravagers that he can just kind of one-shot a bunker, but this number of Cyclones here, he can't get that Overlord in a nice spot, and Clem is just working with the vision beautifully here, but still, Ravagers are scary. Like, if this just turns into a flat-out fight, and, the bunker does fall, Clem can still potentially die, but he's doing everything right here, Wardy. He really is.
Big repair on the bunker, just keeping that alive, and a siege tank now on the way, which is a less mobile form of defense, but it is going to give you room to kind of actually, kind of hold ground a little bit more easily, as That's a big catch on one of those Ravages as well, so we finally get the kill on the one that's been low HP for a bit. We're going to lose these depots. I'm going to lose one. We have got new depots building, so it's not the end of the world. As Bly still has a lot of units here, but this is a good scan, I think, because he wants to know if there's any mining on that base. He wants to know if Bly is still completely committed, or if he is in a position where he's droning. So now Clem knows that he's in no real rush because Bly has not been droning at all. This is a full commitment to army.
Yeah, and now Bly starts up Zergling speed here. And worker count, it's 32 to 16. So even though Clem has been denied from his natural, he's been doing all this, by the way, off just one gas. Like, that's how committed he was, just to making sure he had bunkers, backup bunkers, double barracks production. And with Bly, very often you're like, all right, it's going to be like some macro behind it, right? That's the one trick you can never fall for against Bly. I've learned it the hard way many times, but it's never the case with him.
He is not a macro guy. And if he does macro, it's the weirdest kind of low drone macro that then still makes the game out for a very long time, but I don't think that's going to happen here. Even an SCV across the map from Clem just going to re-scout, and he does see link speed on the way, so more information gained. He is picking up info as we go, as he just wants to take the low ground, but honestly...
No. He's doing this right, though. So he's doing it right. Like, the fact that he's taking it slowly here is key, because this next attack is actually the scary one. Having 3 bunkers, and how many tanks is this? 2 tanks ready, soon to be 3. I love the fact that Clem's respecting this, because it is still a scary squad that's going to be coming at you, but Clem wasn't caught at the top of his ramp, was not caught off guard. He knows, he's played this game for many a moon, and this push is going to get absolutely thwomped here.
GG from Bly. Just got to double check it's Bly, guys, because he just GG'd out when the game actually ended instead of waiting another few minutes. Sometimes Bly will wait for the attack to come, but I guess he was quite literally on 0 army supply and 16 supply in the game, so maybe that is an okay Bly timing. As Clem does take the first opening map, and he is going to be off and away to a strong start. So, well, if you wanted to see a proxy hatch, Ben, we got a proxy hatch. Clem showed he was going to be as patient as needed against it. And back to the drawing board for Bly. What do you do round 2? Post Youth, that's actually a weird map, so maybe there's something funky you can do here with it being an in-base expand.
Certainly is. This is a map where you can also proxy hatch, but you do it at like the Terran 3rd kind of thing. I love how Clem handled that, though. That was all just patient, careful, not getting over eager, because that's the worst mistake you can think of against Bly, is just thinking that you're more ahead than you are. Or not more ahead. You are obviously ahead, but all it takes is for one eagerness where you're like, you're macroing, right? And it's just like, no, I'm not. And Bly's been getting away with it for years, but that was kind of like a textbook example of what you should do against Bly. He also, for a long time, even though he had like 32 SCVs to 16 drones, I think like a good 8 or 9 workers were just constantly pulled ready just to fight or repair bunkers and stuff, you know what I mean?
He was absolutely in no kind of rush, right? Like, he was like, oh, I might lose a bit of eco because I've got these workers pulled away. Did not matter to Clem at all. He just knew that he just wanted to be immediately ready to keep his bases, his defenses as safe and as strong as possible. And it paid off for him in the end because he netted himself a 1-0 lead in the top right-hand corner of the map. Our Red Terran player from Team Liquid, it's Clem.
And spawning over in the bottom left-hand side as our blue Zerg, it is Bly. Woody.
Here we go.
This might be just a gold base.
Yeah, gold base proxy hatch.
Oh, no. Going for the 3rd.
Okay. Even closer to the base.
Yeah, this map is also... Like, Terran can obviously have the 2 base situated, but... It's... I mean, honestly, I think this is... I want to say smart out of Bly doing these kind of weird builds, just because I don't think he has much chance with anything else. But I'm curious how he's going to try and pull this one off. Like, it's probably going to be the same thing. We talked about Bly versus Marine Lord, and you were the one to cast it. And yeah, you can kind of repeat your experience of that a little bit, I guess.
Oh, but Bly did the same thing for 31 games in a row. Marino did the same thing for 31 games in a row. And
Yeah, beautiful.
Bly lost 28-3. So, you know, it doesn't matter how much he loses. He will not change it up if he doesn't want to.
Absolutely not. It's you know, and also I know both these guys. When I've spoke to Bly about games that he's lost and stuff, even though to me it can be like, oh my god, that was dreadful, you know. And I'll speak to him, he's like, no, just this little thing went wrong, and I'm like, oh, like you just have a different take on the game to me, you know, in every way, shape, and form. Clem comes over, gets to spot that there is no hatchery here at all, and gets to see, oh, it's double gas. It's probably going to be the same thing again. Just this time, I don't have to lift up my CC. I just have to... Oh, where's that drone off to? Where was that drone? Was he going to go for spine crawlers, do you think? Oh, going to mine out the minerals to have another way into the space.
Smart. Well, cool idea, but Clem gets on top of it already, and he's just going to stick nearby with this Reaper now to know that this is exactly where that drone is at. Focus coming up. Obviously, the road drone will be done soon. And Clem just on his way to his factory, prepping the Cyclones very shortly, I imagine, as we get this all underway.
Yeah, and I love the backup bunker. Like the one bunker, the backup bunker. It's smart. A queen over here as well to take up or soak up some of the damage, and Bly he definitely wants to have a different opening into this base. Oh, no. Clem's going to stick on that one gas for quite some time. Oh no, he turned it into an extractor.
Yeah, that's a little bit sad, as we are going to see the Reaper getting rid of the Creep Tumor. You know, it sounds crazy, but these things can still work. I remember casting Scarlet against Maru in like 2018 Katowice qualifiers, and she was on Varney Research Station, and she Ravager rushed Maru, and you were like, you really think it's over, and then you lose one depot, the Lings flood through, and you know, as you've been saying in the previous game, you know, if your guard wasn't up the entire time, you can still lose the game, and that's what happened in that scenario. So it's one of those situations where Clem still needs to kind of keep it easy, but look at this from Bly, the drone's coming up, so he's going to mix it up by macroing this time.
I'll tell you what, that is not entirely what you expect, but this is, of the two maps, the worst one for it, I feel. Just because it's not as if Clem has to have loads of idle SCVs or over SCVing, you know? Like, he's got a base that he's macroing from. And this map, he's like, you know what, one Cyclone into the tanks feels like a pretty good shout. And he's right. He really is right. Though I guess the one difference for Bly here is Creep is way closer. He can actually transfuse because he has Queens as well in the mix. But still, it's one of those where it's like, I don't see it getting much better for him. You know what I mean? No.
To be fair, Clem was really good last game. I've seen what was up as well, like checking the base to see if there was drones. His Ravagers is going to slowly get chipped away at. Obviously, Clem went for less Cyclones this time to go into the tanks a bit more quickly. I don't blame him, because I guess you kind of can just kind of hold on the high ground more for longer here, because you obviously have your base mining in position. So, yeah.
This tank's getting some pretty nice value shots, and I like that it's not that close, you know? There will be a second tank done now as well, so there's no moving up that ramp. He kills a depot. Might be able to pick off a little bit more with the biles, and why not? It's a free spell. Pretty low cooldown as well. So Bly just going to go for the War of Attrition with double Evo behind it and into a fast lair.
That's, I mean, to be fair, right? If you're going to macro, then macro hard, double upgrades, lair. I'm just going to try and... the problem is, I almost would have liked this on the last map more, because now Clem is mining off of two bases while you're trying to macro. So it's not like you're holding Clem to one base economy while you try to macro. He gets two bases of economy anyways.
Certainly is. And that one cheeky Creep Tumor on the high ground here, I kind of like the attempt by him. And I mean, when Clem does break out, and he will, does he do it with just like a medevac squad? Is there a starport even up yet? No, not on the way either. Clem does see that it is a little bit of macroing behind it and does get a Reaper out, meaning he will be able to see what's actually happening behind it. But again, he's been mining off two base economy, and that is not bad for him at all. But yeah, Clem does do Clem things. Just scouts, gets to see. Nice little drone trick there, keeping the drone alive. Didn't get confirmation yet on the main as to what's going on over there, but this number of tanks, Clem's respecting Bly.
I like that he's respecting him. I mean, you gotta kind of take it slow. Obviously, the more tanks, the better in this scenario, because the follow-up is going to be roaches as well. As Clem will have to get rid of some of this creep that's been leaking into his base as well. So that's one more thing to be looking at, as a little bile there doesn't do much. Clem just trying to eke his way down this ramp. I mean, Ravagers will do their best to try and slow this process as Clem... Oh, what was wrong with that Marine? Why didn't he get split away? All the others did.
That was absolutely right bang on the plonk, wasn't it? But, okay, Bly's supply is growing. 1-1 almost done. That 1-1 is actually kind of scary. If it was just pure bio, but the tank count's 5. Like, there's a lot of tanks, and it's, again, Clem just being good about the move out here. Because the one thing Bly is hoping for, you move down the ramp, you get absolutely smacked. Like, he's getting tunneling claws here as well. Clem with a big old scout, and he's going to be clicking on those units as well, just to figure out what's actually going on with them. But this is, it's a weird way to do it, but it's one that Clem is really playing a good way of doing it. Like, and you know what? I appreciate Bly doing this, because I think it is his one hope, doing stuff like this.
I mean, to be fair, you're right. I think this is kind of the best way that Bly has of trying to win this. So, I don't mind it. We're getting burrow up. Cause chaos, cause trouble, do things crazily. You know, do anything that is going to be crazy or considered crazy, because that is going to be your chance of being down Clem. You know, we ask, can anyone do it? Well, it's very hard to beat Clem, but Bly might just have the experience of being weird to somehow make it happen.
7 tanks out now for Clem. Like, that's such a massive number. Stim and stuff not yet coming online, but won't be long now. Still a very, very healthy roach number, but that makes the supplies a little bit deceiving. Thing is, Bly has been rolling off 3 bases behind this, and Clem, you don't often have to look for it, the spikes on the roaches. I hope he is aware, because that is one thing that could definitely bite him. I mean, what do you say, Wardy? What do you say?
I'm just kind of considering, like, do you... I mean, I still think Clem's just doing this right. He's playing this extremely slow. We're going to dive. Okay, this is it, right? I mean,
this is it. This is the scary spot, and I mean, that's going to be a lot of roaches, but they're all in one little clump there. The tank line is still pretty damn deep, but if there is a time for this to work, it is now, and that tank line is so deep, Wardy.
Yep, it is. It is just so many tanks, and that is the problem, right? The tanks are the kind of best part of this, is we have these roaches are hunting the scan to not find those roaches. We go over to try and grab a queen, and we're actually going to lose a bunch of Marines. I mean, that is where you actually make this happen as Bly. This is actually happening, man. I mean, the tank count is good, but it's not that good because there's no Marine support anymore, so Bly will completely deny this low ground. Can Clem really kind of recover from this? Well, those tank shots are still definitely helping that case.
They're helping a lot, and +1 weapons did finish, and Bly did not commit to 2-2, which, you know, you can definitely tell that Bly is still dangerous in this game, and all it takes is a few more wrong moves for Clem. And when I say wrong moves, it's where the normal rules of RTS no longer apply. Like, your opponent, he's playing proper crazy, and you know it. If he did have 2-2 started, obviously this attack would have packed less of a punch, but teching out of this, he can still go to Infestors and make a real meal out of this.
The Infestors would be a cool little addition. I mean, Clem does get a 3rd base. We'll see if he gets to keep it here. These roaches just kind of run in this time around. Obviously, there's missile turrets up now, which makes it a lot better for Clem, and this time the fight goes way better for him, so... man, I feel like Bly had so many good fights, and yet somehow it's still not quite enough. Crazy.
It's just the choice to drone behind all this is just being, you know, it's so all in. Like, Bly definitely brings his own flavor of Zerg to the table, but he is doing some stuff now that you know, on hindsight, might have been better a little bit earlier, where he is now droning up a lot, getting the 2-2 online. Because you can really feel that this build was kind of scary on a map like this, can't you? Like, Bly behind this is on 4 bases mining, taking a 5th. And Clem, it's not been a free ticket getting here at all, but breaking this spot now, Bly knows it's not possible anymore. And, I mean, those bases are running a little bit dry, and there's creep. Not on Bly's side of the map, but everywhere on Clem's side. It's just, this is StarCraft.
This is StarCraft. I mean, just creep all over the place. Bly with an opportunity to, well, still play the game, but Clem's army supply is looking better and better. I mean, Clem kind of has to go, but going feels bad because of the way the game's being, you know, set up so far. Clem doesn't have the workers to necessarily play a longer game, does he?
I've always got faith in Clem.
Yeah, I mean, me too. I'm just trying to, like, in a normal game, like, if I ignore the player names, I'm like, I feel like Clem's in trouble, but obviously I kind of believe in Clem because it's Clem.
Yeah, and tunneling roaches are still online. There's still a lot of creep to worry about. And if... I mean, I think Bly's got himself into a game here. It's not the neatest or the tidiest, but some of these attacks have been scary. And again, 79 drones to 47 SCVs. By all rights, Bly is ahead this game. It's just, does he know how to reel it in a bit? Be a bit less crazy? That is a nice little pick there.
It's a huge pickoff. We get rid of a medevac full of units. I mean, Clem is not exactly in the business of kind of sparing units right now as the CC floats across over to that left-hand side, and we just see the rest of the bio coming over and looking to clean out the creep to get there. We see a few roaches advancing. This is going to be a fungal that lands on the group of units in the front. A couple more corrosive bowels dropping down. Creep spread will get knocked away at. But yeah, Clem really wants this 4th phase. Will he be able to really make the most of it as Bly comes firing through? The tanks are going to be putting in some work. And we actually are going to see the bio stepping forwards, but there's one more fungal. Fortunately, the bio will survive through that. The medevacs are putting in overtime to keep them alive. Army supplies stay similar. It's Bly's economy that is genuinely in a great spot right now.
It really is. Like, it massively is. Some of these fights, they're not the prettiest or the most efficient, but Bly doesn't need that right now. I mean, that's a lot of Liberators there, Wardy. That is a hell of a lot of Liberators. And one thing he can't do is group them up, but it's going to get hard for Bly to break this. I can really feel that he wants to break it pretty damn hard, but poor. The longer this game goes and the higher the tech gets, the scarier it gets for Bly.
Couple of SCVs taking some shots from friendly fire. The Broodlords are on the way. Great Aspire coming up. The Ghost Count growing. Baneling Nest is still coming up as well. The melee upgrade and +3 Carapace are going to be a part of this game shortly as well.
I'm a bit surprised there's been a little bit of a lack of a turret over here. The friendly fire and the SCVs is a cool move by Bly. I mean, he's dealing quite a lot of damage to Clem still.
Yes, I mean, he's genuinely keeping on this SCV count, like, dropping it down, right?
And soon there's going to be so many broods on the map. I think Clem's significantly behind now.
He really is. I mean, the warrior count is bad. He's struggled to get to 4th base, but his army's still good. No? I mean, are we that worried about Broodlords? Do we think Broodlords make the big difference yet? I mean, I guess they negate a lot of the siege tanks.
They negate a lot of everything, especially combined with the fungals. It's just, if Clem was a bit richer, I wouldn't worry. The fact that he's making some Vikings here is really good. Like, just getting prepped for it. Because I think if there's one thing, my goodness, some turrets would be amazing for Clem. Even just like a little bit aggressively placed. Now you see, starting to shut down a little bit this run by potential, but Bly's rich, man. He's so rich behind this. He doesn't even mind trading out some of this supply. Just because, look at his bank, Wardy. That's going to be a lot of broods on the field.
8 Broodlords start to morph in. That's going to be the starting point of this. And it is going to give him an opportunity to genuinely have a good push. I mean, the Viking count is growing, though. There are ghosts available. This is still going to come down to the engagement. I mean, this is still going to be Bly having to take the right fight. But I mean, the setup is there, man. He's got so much money in the bank. 3k minerals, not much gas in the bank. That's maybe the only thing to perhaps watch out for a little bit here.
the good old ultra switch after all things said and done. Bly has bases for days, and if you're a Clem, moving out is actually really tough. Like, it's really hard. Like, he had to spend so many scans clearing up the creep on his side of the map from this proxy hatch.
It is ridiculous, just how this game has gone. I mean, Bly is doing it. You know, we asked, can Bly do it? Can Bly make an upset? Yes, right now he absolutely can. He created it crazy. He made it crazy in a bit of a different way, and, well, he's got an Ultra Cavern as a backup plan as well. 3-3 still coming up. The tanks are going to fire and get rid of those couple roaches. The forward missile turret helping there. As Clem tries to clean out some of the creeps, but in the front as well. Broodlords will drop down, and our first wave of Broodlings starting to make their way forward as well at the moment. As the Baneling speed, +2 melee, +1 air weapons all coming through.
Clem's army is actually getting really scary here. And Bly's trying to trade out these roaches as efficiently as he can. But, you know, trading out a bunch of them for a single tank over here, it's not pretty. But you do see that he does have minerals for days. It's the gas bank that, you know, you mentioned earlier. Getting this forward spore crawler field as well. Nobody else plays like this, man.
It is definitely a challenge for Clem because he has to figure it out as he goes, right? And that's definitely one of the things that then you kind of take away a lot of Clem's ability just to kind of be like the more knowledgeable, more experienced player. Bly trying to deal with those broods from afar. Clem, I mean, we talked about it in the previous game, but a 5th base is going to be a big deal in any matchup, and especially TVZ. It's usually a breaking point in TVZ, and that's what Clem's trying to reach to now. If he can get to a 5th, it will keep him going for so much longer in this game. As the first couple of snipes come down on the Broodlord there, the Fungal lands on just the front for a few units, nothing too major.
Yeah, but now we're starting to get to a point where even though Clem is still behind, his army, this is the kind of army that you need to micro really solid against a Terran, and Terran's going to start taking like the 5th, the 6th, and so far Bly, it doesn't feel like he's super able to just kind of slap Clem out of the game, which is what he's been looking for 20 minutes now, isn't it? Like it's... And when Fusion Core comes online, you start getting ranged libs as well. I just feel that it's going to become all too finessey for Bly, but he's more than in this, Wardy. That's a lot of links.
That's a lot of links, and they're going to try and get that planter. He's going to have to cancel and lift off, and that is a bit of a win for Bly. Anything you do to deny that 5th base for a little bit longer is a big win, because again, if Clem can reach that economy, that could be a big difference. I think Bly really needs to back away, though. Once units got there, those lings won't do much anymore. We get the EMP on all the infestors, and the Ghosts are going to start sniping. Broodlords in the front as well, going to get caught, so Clem gets a good fight here. Now we're going to take a fight. The Banes back away, just so I felt like everything was clumped up. And the actual escape route through the gold minerals is blocked by the sensor tower right now, so that's choked up a little further than usual.
But there's no anti-air, right?
Bly is just losing. Yeah, Vikings are chasing the broods down as well. There's nothing at all, and Clem has won a massive fight here, 20 minutes in.
Oh, I mean, flying away from that spore crawler field that he made, I mean, it's going to be a big fat Ultralist switch here, but this feels like a Hail Mary at this point, and all of a sudden, Clem, more than back in this game, he's looking ferocious, and even though Bly did have a bank available, drone count isn't exactly stellar. He's at 69 drones, does have a bunch of corruptors to clean up these Vikings now, and he'll do a decent job of that. Could technically land these Vikings, but you always have to be scared about the flood of lings that comes and cleans them up. But Bly with a little bit of a victory over there. It's just the complexity of his army, even though he does have spellcasters and things available. These ultras against ghosts and this amount of tanks and libs, they have to go through real avenues and chokes to try and get things done. And now he's revealed the ultras, and Clem, upon seeing that, he can just be like, all right, more tanks, more ghosts, corrupt a hit squad. Gonna try and shut down some stuff in the natural base here. I don't hate it.
I mean, lib range is quite a nice thing to get rid of. I mean, unfortunately, less went on the lib ranges compared to the starports. You can out-repair it. We're going to try and push into this planetary fortress. It does not have a lot of HP on it. I think we're going to say goodbye to this base. Fungals all across the Ghost. However, as they get unfungled, more snipes will be available, and Bly's supply did more than just plummet. It got obliterated off the map there. That is one heck of a drop-off as he drops from 120 army supply to like 40. And all he did was kill a base, really. And that's where, I mean, I just don't think Bly can afford that kind of continuing through from this point.
Yeah, that is... Yeah, as soon as this game got a bit more finessey and Bly can just kind of, you know, steamroll his way through, just absolute problems for him. And Q game from Bly, really nice attempt. I think there was absolutely possibilities for him in this game, especially if he kind of switched out the early aggression a little bit sooner and got that 2-2 going and stuff. But yeah, Clem's a beast, man. An absolute beast.
I mean, I think Clem always knew if he just kept playing patiently, there was always going to be a decent chance that the longer the game went, the more chance he would have to take a big fight, right? And big fight would be a, you know, something that kind of benefits him, because at the end of the day, you know, being one of the top players in the world, your engagements are going to be top tier, your micro is going to be top tier, and that was always going to be something that Bly was going to struggle against in comparison, and that's what we finally got to. We finally got to this stage where Clem was able to kind of show us that in the fights, and Bly just kind of ran out of steam and couldn't find any more creative ways because Clem was so well established all across the map.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And that fight at that gold was not it, was it? I mean, just got absolutely melted. And if you have a bigger drone count behind it, maybe there was something, but Clem's just in his comfort zone now. Like, this army, what's the ghost count? 20 ghosts, 23 lings on the field. It's not good. Bly doing Bly things where he will stay in the game, but he is just traded beyond inefficiently here.
It is a, what? I mean, Rizzo's loss was like double. Still is. And Bly is just
40k to
lings.
19k, that's so brutal.
It's been like that for a while too. I checked a little while ago, it was like 30 to 15, so it's been like that general trade has just been like Bly has lost so much more than Clem. That has been a consistent issue. As we do have our extra hatcheries coming up. Bly's still taking a lot of the map because Clem just says, no, I'm in no rush to take the map, so it is giving Bly a chance to rebuild, but you look at Bly's army now, it's Ling, Ultra, a few Banes, and a couple Infestors. The quality of Bly's army has gone down severely from what it has been in the past, so if he hasn't won it with the previous armies, I ain't convinced he's doing it with this army.
No, and the creep spread now, the creep spread that he has is from his hatcheries. Like, you know, Clem can just kind of navigate the map. Like, 6th base was easy, 7th base even easier, and it's just like, he has full control. I'm not sure what Bly's hoping for here, because the link count, staying pretty low. Still a healthy number of ultras, but 21 ghosts on the field, 11 tanks, 7 libs. I mean, this is... Bly's a warrior, and a hopeful fella.
Bly does not give up easy, right? So he will absolutely let this game go on a little deeper if he feels the need to. As the order command heads on down, we're just going to see our bio pushing through. Going to grab a queen. Bly is going to have to run across here to try and help against this. I mean, he's not, you know, kind of feeling too bad for bases, but it is nice to obviously keep some of these bases alive. We're going to lead these ultras into ghosts. However, the fungal came down. That was nicely placed. More fungals, maybe? No, the infest is all EMP'd, so there's just going to be snipes for days as the ghost will stop fire. Bly's supply is plummeting yet again, and once more, it is Clem to just win out these later game fights. Incredible.
Absolutely incredible. And what's Bly's answer after all his ultras just melded? More ultras. An absolute bunch of them. But Clem's feeling confident here, and rightly so. I mean, he's just got the absolute dream Terran composition. Absolute dream.
15 dead drones, 17. I mean, again, the problem is, again, we kind of had a moment where Clem had to respond to the different compositions, but now once you've lost a Broodlord army, it's so difficult to build anything different than just kind of rebuild ultras. Like, what else would you really like to see Bly do? I think at this stage you're kind of stuck on this comp, and it's just about trying to find like good fungals as you take the fight. He obviously doesn't have that much money anyways, so...
Yeah, if I was to be like a proper nitpicker, I think he had to try and force the issue even more with the broods, but in all fairness, like, Clem was preparing for it before it even began, which was really good by him. And I mean, that's a nice little ghost grab, but he needs about 20 more of those just to make sure that he's still got a chance.
It's a long road for Bly somehow in this game. And as we come to Well, maybe the final fight's supposed to. I mean, Clem is setting up on Bly's side of the map. The ghost count is ridiculous as well. We have 23 ghosts out, so plenty of snipes available. And he's been very good at EMPing the Infestor as well, just cloaking forward. He's actually going to snipe an Infestor this time around, so again, just finding opportunities like that. EMP's the Infestor this time, so I think there was only 2 on the map. There's 2 left now, and there's 4 more buildings. So there's more Infestors coming, but these ghosts just farming snipes, farming value.
That's how, like, this brings joy to my little Terran heart, you know. It's been wounded many times in the past, Wardy, but this is one of those games where it's just, when you get to play with a Zerg like this, and it's just, you know, there's zero opportunity for Bly to do anything anymore. And, you know, the EMPs are great, the fights are great. This, getting a few ghosts, but the trade-off is just, you lose your whole army for it. Great play out of Clem, and it was a really fun game, to be fair. A really fun game.
It was a really fun game, because Bly made us believe big time for a lot of the early stages of that, so it really seemed like there was a possibility. There felt like there was a chance. It felt like there would be some hope. Obviously, in the end, it was not meant to be for Bly, but man, he really gave it a good go. Clem now up 2-0. I mean, surely Bly does something similar, because it kind of worked, right? That's like one of the best shots he's going to get. Why not try it one more time, or does Clem just learn too much?
It's when you see stuff like this that you're like, if you gave one of the tip-top Zergs that kind of position, you'd be like, oh my god, they're going to steamroll this game, you know? Like, but in the fact that Bly can kind of make those games happen against the absolute best of the best, all credit to him, because it's not easy. And he's had this effect on players for years, Wardy, at this point. Absolute years. And just a few slight different situations for him, or, you know, different choices here and there. It could have been looking at a Bly win that game, honestly.
Is Alcyone for game number 3. There's a very real possibility Bly could shut that down. There's a couple of the fights where it really seemed like we could have just had Bly like win out from that position, and then he just kind of like, Clem, I feel like just about got turrets online to stop those fights happening just before he's like one fight away from being broken. And obviously the longer it went, the less the Roach Army did. Then Bly obviously transitioned and still had a great position, but he just never was able to find it through. Waiting for Bly to ready up to enter game 3 of this series. We'll get this underway, get this started up, and go into one final map. Perhaps if Clement wins this, it's our last map of the day. Or if Bly can find a game, we get to go on for a little bit longer. So let's see.
I'm glad he's bringing what he knows best. And when you see a game like that, you're just like, crap, it really can work. Because I feel if he did this against a player, let's say a Spirit, that wasn't quite as, you know, maybe honed into the situation, because that was catching Clem off guard multiple times early on. Like the burrowed Roach attack, you just don't really think about it. If the tank line was just a little less deep or something, you know, you never know with Bly. It's such a funny story. Anyway, Alcyone will be the 3rd map of this series. Currently 0-2 down, spawning in the top right. It is our blue Zerg. It is Blah.
And in the bottom left, our red Terran player. This is going to be, of course, Clem.
It's going to be a little cheeky drone on the map. Maybe for his own gold, maybe for his opponent's gold.
I like the
You never
opponent's
know with
gold.
Bly. Of course,
It's already
of course.
clicked over here. Beautiful. Beautiful. Alright, drone's going to go across the map, build on his opponent's gold base, and we will figure out the plan from there.
And I wonder what the plan will be. Whether he just kind of busts open those rocks there and just goes, "Hey, I'm going to straight up attack you." Oh, mate, I hate playing against Bly.
I know. I can imagine. It is so frustrating. You never know what's going to happen. He has a way to just do things with units that you never really see done by anyone else. So, like, it's just so difficult to be, like, practiced against him as well, right? It's so tough.
It's because the normal rules that you play by against any other player just don't exist anymore. Because very often you always think, like, oh, I've taken damage. Now it's about dealing counter eco damage. But then against Bly, it's not about that because he doesn't have an eco often. So when you go into with that in mind, and then the next wave comes, and the third and the fourth, and you're like, no, this time he's going to play by the rules, right? And it's like, no, no, he's not. It's just really funny.
And SCV is going to be heading across, and funnily enough here, Clem, he scouts for the gold base. Didn't scout for his own gold base.
Yeah, and he comes over here, and this is where you start... I do want to say getting a little bit like, oh god, where is it this time? He will eventually find it, because you can't not. But he gets confirmation that it's the similar sort of cheddar, just where is it this time? Does spot it though.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a little bit further away this time.
That's the next kind of logical step to check, right? The gold base of your own, because there's got to be a hatchery somewhere. You know it's got to be up, so letting the Reaper check that. Let's just see how Reaper is going to find the drone. It does open the mineral patch. That's actually a big deal, so we do have access towards Clem's base.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty big deal, but Clem's been pretty spot on about how he does the defense against this. And it's not as close as the previous map at all, and even the other one actually, the first map of the series. But Clem does have a bunker up, going for that safety bunker on the high ground as well. Because more often than not, your first bunker you think it's going to be enough, and you think it's going to be some kind of like, you're not going to come now, are you? And yeah, I can't credit Clem enough for how much he's being careful about it. Like it's really smart.
Yeah, he knows. I mean, to be fair, we just saw in the last game, you can never be too careful. As Bly can come up with 1,000 different things. This time the Cyclone's going to be really out the front, trying to get that lock on early. Obviously, remember that now Cyclones don't auto-lock on again really quickly, so there's a cooldown, which means that the Cyclone is definitely worse against this than it was in the patch prior. But yeah, it's still, even just a shot here and a shot there, right? Add up damage onto those Ravagers, and eventually they're going to start going down. That's what we saw very much so happening in that first game. As Clem has got the 2 Cyclones here currently, and is now tech-lapping up the factory to go in towards the siege tanks.
Yeah, and I love this posturing aggressively with these Cyclones. It can't do the transfusions unless he's on the creep. The creep will start spreading. And that has been a real thorn in the side, and a little bit of macro going on behind, not too much. But Bly's drone count isn't the 16 that it was in game 1. We'll be looking to take a third hatch as well.
Well, that does suggest that he's going to be on that more drone-heavy trade and just trying to keep Clem busy, and then kind of obviously set up into his future from there. But I do wonder if Clem, again, kind of learned his lesson from last game and says, okay, no, I'm not going to kind of let you get away with kind of just droning. I'm not going to be as afraid. I'm going to be a bit more active, kind of pushing you out in the game. So you will see. Obviously, drones are building right now. They're saturating Clem's gold mineral line, and he sees it as well with the Reaper. So the Reaper does go down, but he knows that this gold base is mining, so he knows that there has been drones built.
I'm thinking, like, even though you don't normally want to do it, getting a Raven in any one of these games would probably be a smart choice. Like, A, for clearing the creep primarily, but all the cheeky shenanigans afterwards as well. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think Clem's doing all the right stuff. That is maybe the one thing that I have in my mind that might help out a little bit, though.
Nice
oh, those
shots.
are big hits. Yeah, really big.
Really good to hit those roaches, because now they're weak. Now the Cyclones finish them off so easily. He will finish that Ravager morph as well, so that's going to be a cancellation right there. And Fly is just not getting as much momentum to the front. He's going to have Link speed finished. A few Links might be nice to really soak up these Cyclone shots a little bit, but I'm not sure if it's going to help him really break through onto Clem's base, as Clem sits pretty comfortably here. Equal on workers is good for the Terran. Equal on army is good, considering you're the player that's being attacked heavily. That's feeling decent for now.
Yeah, it's still not comfortable for Clem, though. Like, I love it. I like his position a lot, but it's not a comfortable spot to be in. Like, just having to be the one that sits back. Yeah, you've got tanks, but you don't have medevacs or stim yet, combat shields as well. And all it takes is for one wrong move and your tank count gets, you know, chipped away at by these Ravagers. And this creep spread just being so in your face as well does just automatically make you panic a little bit.
It does. It puts the pressure on, as we do see Bly starting to move into those 1-1 missile upgrades, so setting up a similar setup to before. Get the 1-1, get all of that ready. I'm just moving into his stim. Again, his tank count still building. He's going to get his engineering base going as well. I do feel like Clem has optimized his response to this a little bit compared to last game. Things are just a little bit smoother. The stim's a little faster. Things like that, I think, are just going to be much better for him when it comes to actually being able to hold. Like, I don't think he had stim for a long time against some of those roach fights last time.
No. I also think Bly is adapting a little bit. Like, his fourth base is fast, and I wouldn't be surprised, Wardy, if this game he dials it down a bit, gets more gases flowing earlier on, tries to go for that 2-2 timing as opposed to what he did the previous game. That being said, it's Bly. I have no idea what's going through the man's head.
Yeah, we can guess what he's thinking, but no one's really been accurate with that at any point in time before. So
for 14 years, Wardy, for 14 years, nobody's ever been accurate about it.
Like, we took a couple years off because he didn't really play for a bit, but he's back and it's just as crazy as ever. As Roach Ravager trying to find some biles here and there, but not quite able to do too much just yet. We're going to spread a bit of creep spread backwards and upwards. So that's a little bit of an approach there from Bly as well. Just move that about, as this orbital would love to come across, land in position. We're just a creep tumor away from really being able to do that. Tanks have positioned themselves nicely. None of them are stacked up, so the biles aren't going to get multi-kills. I think that's a big deal as well.
It is. It really is. And Clem this game, he's taking a 40 supply lead. Okay, as I say that, 11 drones and 4 roaches start up, but Bly has so many minerals, but just no gas. And I've been looking at what he's been doing, and it took him a long time to get the gases situated. Not at all in some situations. Yeah, I mean, he's going to go for the same thing again with the tunneling claws, but it feels like a far worse situation for him.
He just way less supply. Last time he was always competitive on the supplies and overwhelming a little bit. It's just not been the case here, and I think, again, it's the optimizations of Clem that have just been a little smoother. And now he sets up, obviously, he can start chipping away at the creep spread that is encroaching on his natural and his third base. Pushes that back, that would be good for him, as a few roaches here will fight back themselves. So we try and protect the creep. We get an overload on the high ground. And Bly, like you said, tunneling claws is going to probably be the next kind of interesting part of this for him, if he can try and make some attacks happen. But I would be surprised if Clem didn't get some missile turrets set up soon to make sure that the access points to his bases are not going to be struck down.
Why does he have 3,000 minerals and no gas? Like, what?
It's a great question.
It's insane. Like, you know, he could have had a massive supply lead this game. He's going into melee upgrades here as well, which I don't hate by him. Obviously, it's a massive committal to the roaches and stuff, but still, it's a crazy scenario.
Knock down the spore here, and this hatchery will go down. So Clem stops the mining on his own gold base from Bly. That's nice to finally do. And now the question just becomes, can he stop anything happening across the map? Because Bly's taking his own gold and a right side base as well. It's a double expand from the man.
Yeah. Yeah. Just, he needs a few extra hatcheries and queens. He's only on 3 queens right now, which I'm so confused. He does have a macro hatch in his main, which is cool. He is taking more bases, but he can't spend his money.
That's a little bit of burrow and unburrow in action, but these roaches are going to end up in trouble. Do we have another scan? Clem does, and he's going to get pretty much every single one. I think everything goes down, so good cleanup from Clem. Bly's supply is absolutely lacking. Like you said, he's got money, but not the lava, and, well, Ling Bane now coming through. Lava is as important as it ever has been, because Ling Bane will use up a lot of that lava production, so the extra hatches will help. Bly, just, again, it just doesn't feel anywhere near as scary as it has previously.
No, things have not been connecting properly this game, and Bly maybe felt like he was doing all this to wear out Clem, but feels like Bly's kind of worn himself out, because this macro behind this is just not synced up properly. And he's got an army, he does, and Clem might look at this and be like, oh my goodness, is that with like 80, 90 drones? But it's obviously not. when you look at it from our perspective, and Clem, he's maxed out, he's sitting pretty. And he's on 4 bases, and everywhere you look, Clem's army just looks like a beast.
Moves around the upper left, and obviously still poking through creep in the center. I mean, the creep buys Bly a lot of time because Clem's A, playing a bit afraid, and B, when he does go anywhere, he obviously wants to make sure the creep isn't there. He doesn't want to take fights on creep if avoidable. He's going to start this fight now, and I think obviously lift and go into the main. I'm actually kind of... Oh, sorry, I guess there's another base before the main. Forgot that Bly's so far across on this left side. You gotta maybe jump to the natural.
Yeah, I would say it's been a long day, Wardy, but then be like, no, it hasn't. And I'd be like, oh, okay.
The last game made it long, you know.
More CCs are going down. Bly still with a pretty damn huge mineral bank going up to Hive now. Clem just taking it slow and steady. There are some burrowed Banes on the map, which is cool.
Uh-oh.
I mean, might get connection here, Wardy. When I say might...
Absolutely will. Kaboom!
The first Banes was so much better than the last three.
Well, yeah, the last three shouldn't have done anything.
Screw it! Let's blow up on these Marauders.
They could. I guess you're kind of maybe expecting the scan, like the reactionary scan, where it's like, it's too late anyways, but sometimes you scan just in case. The Bane's like, screw it, we'll just go. And, yeah, pretty nice little Baneling burrow. And just get Bly some damage dealt. Again, it is nice to slow Clem's army down a little bit and just make him, again, appreciate kind of the fact he's going to have to play this a bit more slowly. But Ghosts are coming up, all the command centers are coming in. Clem is just not afraid to play the long game. I think he just knows that if he plays the longer game, it's very difficult for him to lose out.
Yeah, for sure. Like, he's probably taking the bases a little bit slower than he would do normally. But again, you've got to always have it in mind when you play Bly that he very often is working off a much lower economy than a normal Zerg, so he's just waiting for that. But this game, Bly's actually got a lot of drones now, which is kind of funky. But we're getting to that point where it's the rule of 5, where Terran get to 5 base, that's where it's problematic. But Bly, he's starting to try and creep in with a lot of units here. Remember, his bank is huge behind this as well. It's just larvae count. He has quite a bit of lava to spend. He's just working off 3 queens, by the way. Like, that's not enough queens for this many bases.
Honestly, it felt rough for Bly, kind of attacking in there initially, but, you know, he does have the rebuild available. He's going into ultras. And Clem's supply did drop significantly. Clem does not have the bank to rebuild with instantly. He does keep this base alive, and again, you mentioned it. If he keeps that 5th up and running, you got to imagine that that's going to be a big problem for the Zerg further down the line. Bly will try and take a base over to the right and just keep on expanding himself. That's not really being an issue. And again, with 80 drones, his economy is decent. It's just the, again, making sure you have the lava to rebuild with is maybe the biggest problem of all right now. At least, again, more hatcheries naturally just help you with that, even if you don't have the queens.
Yeah, it's a weird scenario. Like, this is obviously the most comfortable Clem's felt, besides game 1, in a game against Bly, but still, like, I really can't believe that Bly's just like, you know what, my mineral count, totally fine. Like, this is normal. It's great to see, but again, Clem's just hitting his stride here. 5 bases set up, and he's got those bases as well, where it's like, all right, I don't need to go more north than this. I can really start focusing on the south part, but that is a lot of ultras to run into. Definitely not what Clem was anticipating over there.
At least he has got the ghosts out, and he's getting the Liberator ranged. He's going to have all of the tools to really deal with this kind of army of Bly at this point. And like we said, Clem is not afraid to just sit back, turtle it up, and let Bly attack into him. Which I think Bly will do, because I don't know if Bly really has a good response to kind of, you know, which includes him sitting back himself. I mean, maybe 1 round of Broodlords, but if he goes into Broodlords, it has to be 1 massive surge of them, and he really has to, you know, be effective with them as well, because there's not going to be, like the last game, there's not going to be a second chance with Broods. It's 1 set of Broods and you're done, typically. Yeah,
and, I mean, the thing is, for a lot of this game, he has had potential to just kind of wing it and then remax, but the window has been closing pretty damn rapidly for that to happen, and the fact that he hasn't been able to macro or, you know, get the injects flowing because it's still 3 queens, and that is, it's just not it, is it? Like, I keep pressing that unit tab just to see if it changes, but the larvae, and Clem does have 3 scans, so he gets to see that Bly is quite rich behind this. Probably doesn't realize how rich. He can probably guess that the income's quite high. Bly probably can take down this base. And I mean, this is kind of the way that he has to play with the style that he's gone for, where he is just going to absolutely murder bases and then remax very quickly and do it all over again. But still, the lava, he's used it all, Wardy, and, you know, he's 30 supply off remaxing.
It is probably going to be... Yeah, well, yeah, now he just gifted up a bunch more units. He actually did very well the first time, but I feel like he was like, oh, this went so well. Maybe I can keep going. No. Back it up and take your advantage. He is going to build more ultras. Who needs lava when you just spend your money on ultras? That's one way to undo the problem. So
it actually is, and maybe that's why he's so fond of them.
Maybe. I mean, at this point, maybe he has to be. I just feel like we've seen this before, right? Where he's going to keep on building ultras. Those ultras are going to run through, and quite simply, there's going to be a bunch of ghosts sniping him down. Yeah,
definitely is. And the orbital count ever growing. 9 orbitals on the map, plenty more incoming as well. I think it's the kind of game where Clem's just having fun all over again. And there's 3 queens on the map, but I just see one of them that's just, you know, off there spreading creeps. So that's way less. In fact, yeah, there's quite a few queens that just spreading creep, not even. This is wild, man.
Wild madness. Creep is all over the place with those queens. I mean, to be fair, that does give Bly a big feeling of control here, as Clem is going to try and cycle down some CCs to this bottom. I imagine he's going to get a couple here because he probably wants to double planetary the position and really make it difficult for Bly to ever attack in. As he spreads out more thinly, that additional stack defense will absolutely be appreciated. This is a fungal that's going to catch a couple of these ghosts initially. We've got a cloak up. He's trying to snipe down the overseers. He finally gets them, but the Banes do get close enough to a lot of these ghosts. Now the ghosts stop and they get the snipes off on the ultras. It's honestly not a terrible start for Bly. He gets a lot of SCVs killed here. Ghosts coming in from the left. This is the problem, because now you're going to bleed out a lot of units as you try to run away. And that is where you just lose that little bit of extra supply that makes it that bit better for Clem across the board. Resources lost, not as bad as last time though. 27 to 18k. Last time we were talking like 30 to 15, so it is much better for Bly in that regard. So it is steps in the right direction for him with that in mind.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, he does have a decent ring of creep around the middle of the map. Like, it's not from his natural base or his third base at all, but it's there. He can definitely switch targets pretty nicely. These kind of trades as well, getting a lot of tanks over here, and that's an orbital there, Wardy, as well. Like, this, it ain't super cheap for Bly, but it's very efficient, taking out all these high gas units, and Bly's gas is starting to really skyrocket. He's on 2k gas per minute.
The income is wild. You know, 2k gas, 70 drones still mining across just a lot of bases.
And there's so many, like, okay, there is a few things that Bly's doing really well. He's mining very much from the peripheral bases. That is so many ultras, by the way. Is there anything that shoots up in his army? I don't think so.
No, I'm not sure there is. Liberators are going to be great, but obviously the problem is these ghosts are constantly running. They need to try and find the moment where they can stop and turn and fight. I actually think it might be now because we've outrun any sort of overseer presence. So if they just cloaked up and sniped away, they'd probably do okay. The ultras do start to disappear. Oh, they turn into the ghosts! I don't love that as we are. I mean, we can just cloak, no?
Yeah, I think he can cloak. He's running low on energy on a lot of them. Maybe picking up and getting out there might be the best, but still, this is so funny to watch. All right, finally we'll get the cleanup on these ultras, and Bly's wild, man. Like, again, you've absolutely seen. Yeah, you've absolutely seen opportunities in this game for things to happen. It's just, oh mate, this is it's the lack. I think Bly's played about the best that he can, and it's been fun to watch. But it's sad because maybe there's just a little bit missing that would make it. They're not difficult things to do, you know, having a few extra queens and just sorting out the macro a little bit. And I really think he could have maybe made something happen. I don't know.
I know it's really weird to Theorycraft because it's like these are such weird situations, you know. But yet here we are. Clem's supply is obviously looking great right now. Bly has absolutely blew his money on all these corruptors. It's kind of wild that he built so many corruptors because now he doesn't have a ground army. He's got like 10, 15 lings, 7 banes, a couple infestors, and some queens. Like, I don't think that's going to be the ground army, and I'm not so sure we're that committed in this guy as Clem. He is obviously building Vikings because he's seen the corrupt, and he's like, oh god, I don't want to die to broods, so that's funny.
No, and there's so many bases that aren't mining for Bly, and again, I like that he went for all these peripheral bases, but this is such a a loco game. Like, or when I say loco, I don't mean
A
loco,
loco game?
No, I like crazy loco. You know?
Okay, loco is in the translation, not the cheeser.
Not the cheeser. No, that game would have been over 17 minutes ago. But yeah, it's wild, and I don't know, man. I'm doing a full Colaris. I'm losing my mind.
You're losing your mind. You're just gonna start giggling every time a fight happens.
I think so. I think so. It's like, oh, I didn't have a unit that shoots up. Let's make 18 corruptors, then not have any ground army. Let's go.
It's okay. It's past 8 p.m. now. We can call it a long day.
Oh, we can now,
It's
eh?
official, yeah. 7 minutes ago. We're good.
Yep.
We're officially behind schedule, so, you know.
Oh!
We're good.
And it took Bly versus Clem to
It
do
actually took Bly versus Clem to be the longest. Maybe here in Lambo was longer, but if this ends up as being a 3-game series, then I think length per game, on average, it's just Bly Clem was the longest of the day. That's wild.
That is actually wild. And it's still going. You know, I think his chances are limited in this game. You know, that's a nice way of putting it, I think, but...
Yeah, I think it's gonna be tough for Bly to. We're kind of like the situation we've been in before, where I just don't see how Bly suddenly starts taking a fight that's gonna be magically like the answer. Those corruptors apparently are hiding in the corner, and the Vikings came to well, just ruin their little corner party. Yeah, we've got a Viper coming up.
And what's the lava count? I mean, the lava count's growing. It's at 34. But still, with that kind of bank, you want a lot more lava than that. Like, even if a fight does go well for him, the remax potential. Like, where are these queens now? I don't even know.
The queens. You're obsessed with these 3 queens, mate.
Mate, they're like, there's one spreading creep, but it's like, where's the other one? Like, he's had 3 queens the entire game, Wardy, and one of them, I think one of them's been injecting, and not very well.
That was a massive EMP on the Infestors. There's one Infestor with, I believe, 1 fungal remaining, but that is going to be it. It lands on a couple of ghosts, but that means the rest of the ghosts are free to snipe, and they will do that. 64 lings on the rebuild here by Bly. The Vikings are going hunting as they're going to find a chance to jump on top of Corruptors and Overseers, and, well, I guess they may as well take those fights as the snipes. Only a couple go off, so the Ultras don't die yet, but it's another big progress kind of fight for Clem, who is going to continue to put himself in a better spot. Parasitic Bomb fades away as the one Viking with it on dies. And we just keep building Corruptors. I mean, I guess we're going to build Brutes and just send it with the bank, but... I mean, we do have anti-air here as Clem. It's not like he has no answer to Brood Lords.
I mean, Clem has pretty much an answer to anything Zerg can make at this point. And Bly, every kind of playstyle he's gone for, where it's like, hey, if I bum rush this, it's all well and good, but it's just been the follow-up. Like, you know, when they talk about chess grandmasters, they're thinking 20 moves ahead. I feel like Bly hasn't been doing that.
He hasn't been. He just takes it as it goes.
It's just like, I got an army. All right, what happens when this army Bly's die? Well, I'll make another one really slowly, and we'll roll with it. All right.
There's no future-proofing in this game from Bly. I think that's a fair way to say it. Is Clem taking the bottom right bases is huge because that essentially evens out the bases taken on the map. And obviously, Bly did mine a lot of Clem's gold, but if Clem mines the bottom right thoroughly, then resources lost will never be an issue for him. He will have access to the resources he needs to trade forever.
All right, I had another look at one of these queens.
Oh no.
All right, so you know that massive blob of no creep that's kind of outside his natural? He's been shift queuing these queens to run around injecting all of them, and I just watched in slow motion one of these queens just slow walking across this massive span. I'm losing my mind.
Oh, that's incredible. You know what? I now appreciate that you've been queen obsessed this game.
I'm so queen obsessed. We've now got 2 queens, 2 of the 3 that he has, both kissing the same hatchery with basically full energy.
No!
Ah, that's one of them down.
Queen down, queen down. This is when it all falls apart for Bly. The triple queen build is finally vulnerable.
the triple queen, and you know, Mapu just looked at that natural. Go look at it again, Mapu. At the natural. Look, there they are. Those juicy buggers. The 2 queens remaining.
2 queens. This is it.
You know, they they think they're off duty, mate.
They're like, hey, we're Bly's queens. We only play till 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's like, never been in the game this long in my life.
Oh my god, we knocked down a base that's pretty much meaningless and it costs you a bunch of ultras. Clem is going to replace the CC at the front there. I guess more to hold the position than anything.
No, it's all right. Look where those 2 queens are.
Oh, where they are. Back at home.
They're still there, mate.
18 broods.
18 broods, 8 corruptors, I tell you.
I love that we honestly had a pretty quick day, like a bunch of 3-0s. There was definitely some faster games. And then we get to like Clem versus Bly. I'm like, you know what? Quick day number 1 for 3 days of doing this in a row. And Clem Bly are like, let's play for over an hour.
It's great.
I actually love it. I mean, obviously this game has felt a bit weirder because I feel like this game has been a lot less likely for Bly to make something happen. Last game, I actually did not believe in Clem for a little bit, which was really wild.
Hold on, where are those queens? Ah, you know it, Wardy.
I know where they are. They're not moving anymore, man. They're retired at this point. They absolutely are.
This is,
siege.
they are going to siege Wardy, and, you know, Bly's doing everything they can over here. That's a lot of broods.
There's a lot of them. And as they are going to try and come through, there's no fungal coming down, which means these goes are going to stand and snipe. You get a few, not exactly the most perfect of battles. Obviously, if we move forward, we go into Liberator range, which isn't ideal. We split away with the parasitic bombs. So that is correctly done there by Clem. The micro living up to the expectation from him. Bly doesn't really have much gas, so he's mostly just rebuilding Zerglings. And I swear down, this one Liberator has shot so many units down. It's got 19 kills because Bly has just ignored the fact that it's there, but essentially. We mass EMP on the Infestors. They're getting shelled away by a tank in the background. A fungal does land. Some of the ghosts get caught in that, but it's going to be Broodlords versus the world in a moment, and the Vikings will just slowly get rid of them. There is no other anti-air remaining. The few pros will still try and just shoot down with some snipes. And this is going to be the cleanup as Clem wins this out 3-0.
It was close. Close fight, man. And those queens. Oh.
If the queens had been here for the transfusions.
Mate, if he used those minerals on something like queens a long time ago, maybe he stood more of a chance, you know. But it was not to be. It was not to be. And Bly's like, you know what? I got 5k minerals. Do you know what I might need? Some frickin' lava. Where are they? And guess what? They're still there kissing that bloody hatchery.
Well, one of them's kissing it. The other one isn't. The other one's just got his back turned.
No, it's all well and good. You know, still got a chance.
Well, couple ultras. Few corruptors coming through. The queen's all building. Oh my god, queen action.
Yeah, now
to the main.
Now you get to see this fella on a little wander. And where will it end up? That's the question.
No, that's why the macro hatches here, so you don't have to go off creep anymore.
That's true, that's true. Never have to walk out your natural.
Now we left up the ghosts from a couple of lings as GG is called and Bly will tap out. Clem